Welcome to the Better Together Here podcast with your hosts Devin
and Ashley,
helping you make the most of your time in New York City. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Better Together Here podcast. My name is Devin.
And my name is Ashley.
And in this episode, we are going to give you 3 hidden gems of Central Park that you really are going to love and are arguably some of the best parts of Central Park. They're less popular, kind of off the beaten path. You're not going to see them in every single Central Park guide or article that you read online, so they're kind of hidden gems in that sense. So let's dive right into it. We probably spend more time in Central Park than 99% of New Yorkers. We are in there pretty much every single day. We have 2 large Labrador retrievers who require exercise, and in Central Park you can take them off leash before 9 a.m. and after 9 p.m. and so we are in Central Park almost every single day. I personally am a runner and I go running with the dogs, and so I run through a lot of the different kind of trails and sidewalks that let me explore all kinds of parts of Central Park. And Ashley, of course, takes the dogs as well and explores.
Yeah, I'm more of a walker / meanderer around the park, so I probably know the bottom third of the park pretty much like the back of my hand. But yeah, the top 2/3 you definitely get because you're running all around.
And let us just say, we feel very grateful and lucky that we get to go into Central Park every day, and we're not saying this to boast. We're just saying we know what we're talking about. We have been everywhere in Central Park, and these are 3 spots that are truly hidden gems. So the first one, the Conservatory Garden. It actually took us quite a while to go here for the first time, which is a shame because it is arguably the most beautiful part in all of Central Park. It is well-maintained, like professional level gardens. They have 3 different styles of areas. They have the center Italianate Garden where it has this massive lawn view leading to this beautiful fountain, and then on each side of that you have 2 different gardens. There's a French style North Garden and an English style South Garden. As we're recording this episode in around March of 2024, one of the sections is under construction or renovation. I don't remember exactly which one it is. So if you go and check this out soon, it may still be under construction, but even if you only get one part of it, it is a beautiful, beautiful part of the park.
It really is an unexpected spot because a lot of Central Park is landscaped very beautifully, but this is on a completely different level. Everything is expertly landscaped. There are hedges in the shapes of squirrels. There are beautiful flowers everywhere. There's tons of like butterflies and hummingbirds in the summertime, fountains. It's absolutely gorgeous.
So make sure you check out the Conservatory Garden. It is on kind of the more upper east side area of the park. I believe it's around 101st Street, right along the eastern edge, right along 5th Avenue. So good spot to go check out.
And it's completely free. So if you want to take your significant other, have a romantic moment, you want to just go and walk around and have some time to yourself in a beautiful area, highly recommend it.
And that leads us to our second spot, which is also a wonderful, wonderful spot to walk and explore and frankly get lost in, and that is the Ramble. The Ramble is less of a hidden gem. It's kind of a more popular spot theoretically, but the thing about the Ramble is that it has so many different paths and areas that you can go that it feels secluded. Even if it's crowded, even if it's a busy weekend day, you don't run into as many people because there's just so many different trails and paths that you can go on that it kind of turns into a different experience every time you're there.
And when you're in the Ramble, it really, like sometimes I forget that I'm in the city because you're not getting the sirens, you're not getting cars honking, you don't get any of those city noises. And you can't see any of the really tall New York City buildings all around you because you're completely covered in the woods of the Ramble.
Plus, the Ramble is home to some of the best bird watching in all of New York City. We were actually diving into this last night, that there are over 200 species of birds throughout the year that frequent Central Park, and the densely wooded area that is the Ramble is the perfect place to go spot a new bird and do bird watching. Pretty much anytime you go into the Ramble, you will see people who are bird watching. They'll have nice expensive cameras. They'll have high-end binoculars. We are not the biggest bird people out there, but we do enjoy it. And if you have not, this is just a small plug to check out the Merlin Bird ID app. It is a free app, and it has a database of hundreds, thousands of birds in North America and Canada and other regions. You can record a sound of a bird that you're hearing, and it will help you identify the bird. You can kind of search and explain the bird that you're seeing, like what color is it, how big is it, where did you see it, and it will populate a list of birds that it is likely to be based on your region and the criteria that you give it. It is a phenomenal app.
Another cool thing that the Merlin Bird app can do is you can upload a picture that you've taken like previously, or upload a picture of a bird that you're looking at this current moment, and add it into the app, and it'll tell you what the bird is, which is really cool.
So truly an amazing app. So our recommendation, go in the Ramble, devote 30 to 60 minutes of just, I'm going to go explore and walk around and go where the Ramble takes me. Find some birds, use the Merlin Bird ID app, and just have a good time. The nice thing about the Ramble too, so it's a 38-acre area, which is massive. It does have a good public restroom as well. Good is relative, but it does have a public restroom as well, which is always a plus. So if you're needing just kind of a quiet, peaceful moment away from the hustle and bustle of the city, the Ramble is the place to do it.
I honestly think it's a great rite of passage to just go into the Ramble and get lost. I would plan on 30, 45 minutes. Just don't worry about knowing what direction you're going, because it's almost impossible to navigate while you're in the Ramble. I get lost in there every time I go. So just turn left, turn right, get lost. You'll make your way out eventually, and it's just a really beautiful spot of the park.
And that leads us to today's You'll Have to Check It Out segment, which is Liberty Bagels. Bagels are a hot topic in New York. They are the best bagels in the world. I don't care what anyone says. I have had competitor city bagels, and none of them are as good as New York bagels. That I will die on this hill.
Facts.
I went to what was supposed to be like the best bagels in Montreal, and they were just so mediocre. It was just like a normal bagel. I'm sorry if you're from Montreal. I love Montreal, but New York City has the best bagels.
Yeah, best bagels by far. And not all bagels are created the same. There are some bagels in New York City that are not amazing. And my older brother, Matt, used to live in New York City, and when we were visiting once, he gave us the advice, don't get a bad bagel in New York City. Like, find a place that has good reviews, find a good bagel spot. Don't just go into a deli and get a bagel, because it's not going to be as good as it could be.
Yeah, go to a dedicated bagel spot. Like this episode's You'll Have to Check It Out segment, Liberty Bagels. They have, I believe, 4 locations throughout the city in different boroughs. The location that we're talking about specifically and that we go to most frequently is the Liberty Bagels on 5th Ave. It is right near the park, so the southeast corner of Central Park. It's just a block from there, so it's just in on 58th Street, in from 5th Avenue between 5th and Park Madison.
5th and Madison.
5th and Madison.
It's right across from the Plaza Hotel as well.
And right next to the 24-hour Apple store, which is kind of a cool thing. But Liberty Bagels, they have really unique bagels. They have a rainbow bagel. They have what they call their Liberty Bagel, which is like red, white, and blue. They have a French toast bagel, which is so sweet, but so good. And they have birthday cake cream cheese, which is just this epic vibe in itself. Like if you get birthday cake cream cheese on like a strawberry or like a blueberry bagel or a French toast bagel, it's very, very sweet, but if that's what you're going for, you're going to get it. You're going to get the sweetness.
Another thing I'd recommend doing when you go to Liberty Bagel is they have dozens of different flavors of cream cheese. Like Devin said, they have birthday cake, they have Oreo. In the fall, they have a pumpkin cream cheese, and they will give you free samples. Almost like an ice cream shop, they'll hand you a little spoon and you can try it. Make sure you try if you're going to get like an interesting flavor of cream cheese. Not all of the fancy flavors are amazing in my opinion, but I'm also kind of like an OG cream cheese girl. But I will say my 10-year-old nephew got one sweet cream cheese and he didn't try it first and he didn't love it. So just try it. Make sure it's your thing before you put it all over your bagel.
The nice thing about Liberty Bagels as well is that even when there are long lines, they do move through them relatively quickly. The staff is generally friendly. If you're looking for like a savory bagel, like a bacon, egg, and cheese type, the Works sandwich is probably my favorite breakfast bagel in the city. It is like a bacon, egg, and cheese, but they add hash brown, and you can add other things to it. It is so good.
Yeah, the Works bagel is like if a bacon, egg, and cheese and a sausage egg McMuffin had a baby, that's what this is. So it has a full-size hash brown, and it has a sausage patty in it.
That's right.
With the bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel. It's incredible.
It's as good as it sounds. And they're massive sandwiches. Honestly, if you're going with one other person, I would recommend get one savory sandwich and then get a sweeter type bagel and just share them and you will be stuffed. Pro tip though, I know Ashley recommended to try the flavors of cream cheese if you are there in person, and that is still great advice. But if you do want to beat the lines, they can order ahead for pickup on their website. And some weekends, especially if you're going kind of in that mid-morning when everyone's waking up and wanting to do the same thing of getting a bagel, the line might be out the door, down the block type situation. So ordering ahead is really advantageous if you don't want to stand in line for an hour or more.
However, if you don't care about standing in line and you have time, the standing in line process at this place honestly isn't terrible, and that sounds like a very weird thing to say, but this bagel spot, Liberty Bagels, really has figured out their ordering process for their patrons that are coming in and ordering food. A lot of bagel spots, it can be a little bit confusing because you have one person taking your order and it's just a little bit chaotic. They have a dedicated spot where you order, they'll funnel you through to where you need to pay, and then you'll get your bagel. It's hard to explain, but it's a simpler process than a lot of other bagel spots in the city.
So that's this episode's You'll Have to Check It Out segment, Liberty Bagels, specifically the one on 5th Ave, which is near the south part of the park. Makes it perfect for grabbing a bagel and then going into Central Park and exploring Central Park and specifically checking out hidden gem number 3, which is the Hallett Nature Sanctuary. So this is one of the 3 main wooded areas in Central Park. So you have the Northwoods, which at the north end of the park, you have the Ramble, which we talked about, and then you have the Hallett Nature Sanctuary. So it was originally called the Promontory by the park's original designers. It's now a spot that is not usually busy. It's fenced off. No dogs are allowed in there. So it's definitely quieter and calmer. It's just this kind of little mini oasis in the southern part of Central Park. So after it was built, when the park was originally built, it kind of was just this area that didn't get explored. It didn't have walking paths leading to it. So it kind of was just this untouched area. In the 1930s, it was turned into a bird sanctuary, and then later in 1986, it was renamed after George Hervey Hallett Jr., who was a nature enthusiast and birder. And like most of the park in the 80s and even early 90s, it kind of fell into disarray. It was said that this area in particular, the Hallett Nature Sanctuary, was overrun with invasive plant species as well as feral cats. So it just kind of went to crap. And then starting in around 2011 or somewhere around there, the restoration started to bring in healthy native plants. They created beautiful walking paths. There are benches. There's a nice kind of little waterfall pond area. It's a beautiful spot in the park that is just, because it is a nature sanctuary, meaning that they don't let dogs in there and it's closed off at night, it's just a little bit more well kept, and there's a ton of really beautiful trees and plants, and again, it's just kind of a more serene, less crowded part of the park. And that is the Hallett Nature Sanctuary, which is hidden gem number 3. The really nice part about this is that even if you just want to come into the park for 30, 40 minutes, you don't have a ton of time or whatever it might be, this is right near the south end of Central Park. It's really close to a lot of the kind of popular areas like the mall and the Literary Walk, Gapstow Bridge, other spots that are all kind of in that more southern part of the park that you can check out. And those are our 3 hidden gems of Central Park. We hope that you get to explore all 3 of these because each of them is unique and an amazing experience in their own right. So make sure you check these spots out.
I honestly think it's really cool that Central Park is as big as it is in such a giant, hustling, bustling city as New York City, that there are beautiful spots dedicated to nature that you can just go into the park and explore and unwind and not feel like you're in the city. Because we love New York City, but sometimes it is a lot, and it's nice to be able to go somewhere where you can take a breath and hear the birds chirping and not hear any city noises.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have not already, please do us a favor and leave a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify. If you have not already, subscribe to our newsletter. We email once a week with all the important things you need to know about New York City. Just go to bettertogetherhere.com/newsletter. And other than that, we'll catch you on the next episode.